Well, here is the latest we're hearing from Umar.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Shout out to Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to my Baltimore Queens, my Baltimore Kings, my Baltimore youth, my Baltimore elders. The Prince of Pan-Africanism is in Baltimore. Had to pull up. I had to come pay respect to one of the greatest revolutionaries, student activists, intellectual scholar, grassroots warriors that we have ever produced, and that is none other than H. Rap Brown, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, brothers and sisters.
No, what you mean is you're there in order to get more clout by mentioning famous and successful people by tying your name with them. You don't give a shit about them in reality. It's just what you say to get your people to pay you more money. Also, that's just where you claim to be at. We do not know where you actually are.
That's right. We lost one of the greatest fighters for our people. He was the 5th chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He succeeded the great Pan-Africanist Stokely Carmichael, a.k.a. Kwame Ture.
And yet we are still stuck with you doing the same bullshit, making videos about famous people, using them as a distraction from the fact you haven't built a school, taking people's money to let you continue your fat-ass lifestyle. Same shit, different year.
That organization played a major role in organizing sit-ins, protests, and voter registration drives across the American South. When Brown took leadership of the organization, the tone of the movement was changing. Many younger activists were beginning to push beyond purely nonviolent strategies and demand deeper political and economic change in America.
Okay, that's him. What does that have to do with you or your lies about wanting to build a school you both neither built or finished? You can praise past black leaders and their achievements all day, Umar. It doesn't make you them or like them, or make us forget your lazy ass has no job, and yet you collect money like a piggy bank for fake promises.
Violence is a part of America's culture. It is as American as cherry pie. American taught the black people to be violent. We will use that violence to rid ourselves of oppression if necessary. We will be free by any means necessary. And we also say, to extend that, if black leaders continue to aid in the genocidal attempt of America to execute and eliminate black people, then they shall be considered as enemies also of black people.
Umar, you do know he was talking about you, right? He said any black person who aids in the destruction of black people is also the enemy. What do you think scamming the black race, dividing them through racial intolerance, and teaching black people to hate other black people for dating white people makes you? You're the very type of enemy he was talking about, dumbass.
He was part of Freedom Summer, registering our elders to vote down in the South. If you don't know who H. Rap Brown is, make sure you get his book and read it. Die, nigga, die. I said, if you ain't read H. Rap Brown, Die, Nigga, Die, make sure you read H. Rap Brown, Die, Nigga, Die.
In the book, H. Rap Brown tells the story of his life growing up in a segregated South and explains the anger and frustration that fueled the Black Power movement during the 1960s civil rights era.
Again, this has nothing to do with you or your supposed mission. First of all, jackass, you were born in 1975. That means by the time you are 10 years old, it's 1985. That means most of the era you are attaching yourself with happened before you were born or you were too young to even be relevant. Stop acting like you ever suffered shit beyond stuffing your face and getting a bellyache.
This is King Kong Consciousness, coming to you live and direct from Baltimore, Maryland.
The fuck are you staring at, you dopehead? You were in the middle of filming yourself and you just stopped talking after introducing yourself for like the 5th time, and then you just start staring off at the sunset like a dummy.
This is King Kong Consciousness, coming to you live and direct from Baltimore, Maryland, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we know. We heard you the last 6 times you said it the first time. Are you suffering from dementia or something? Or do you just need to hear your voice that much?
Stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused. Rest in peace to H. Rap Brown, Imam Jamil Al-Amin.
Later in life, he embraced Islam and continued his work, but in March of 2000, he faced with a life sentence. Police claim when 2 sheriff's deputies approached the car and asked him to show his hands, gunfire erupted, both deputies were hit, and one later died from his wounds. FBI special agents kicked and spat on him while he was handcuffed. He was convicted in 2002 and spent the rest of his life in prison.
There is a lot of gaslighting there. First of all, what Umar failed to mention was the fact that A-Trap only transitioned to Islam between 1971 to 1976 while in prison for robbery. Secondly, the deputies did not approach the car. The cops were serving him another unrelated warrant for a traffic violation in 1999. They were in their own car when they approached him. Another fact that Umar fails to mention is that the accusation was that A-Trap opened his hands and fired after being told to raise them due to being concealed. Now, there is evidence for both versions of events. The first evidence is that the police did in fact find guns on him that matched the ballistics test to the cases found at the scene. The surviving cop identified him, and the car matched the description. The evidence for it not being true is based on the fact his fingerprints were not found on the gun. An inmate later tried to say he did it, and the officer in question was scolded for misconduct, as well as a physical mismatch. It is up to you to determine what the truth of the matter is, but the fact is, it is not as simple as Umar is making it out to be.
Street from the Masonic Temple, they got Francis Scott Key statue. Look at this. They got a Francis Scott Key statue. That's the devil who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner.
So, I am a devil if I write a national anthem? Officer, take me away.
Francis Scott Key was a lawyer and poet. He was also a slave owner who believed black people were inferior. The third verse of the anthem contains a controversial line referencing enslaved people. It reads, "No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave."
While that line did exist, and it is true that Francis was a slave owner, it's far from black and white as to whether that line was referring African-American slaves or calling the British slaves of a king. However, regardless of your opinion on the matter, that verse is both not there anymore and was written in a time when slavery was a common practice. It doesn't make it right, but half of the founding fathers also engaged in slavery. Are you going to say all of America is the work of the devil because of that fact?
Look at all these white statues. We got to put up some black statues.
You say we, but your ass won't work. Also, you hate the fact we put statues for controversial figures, but you want a statue of yourself for doing nothing but eating Big Macs at McDonald's. So, really, who cares what you want?
It ain't nothing like Maryland energy. I got to come back to Baltimore and do a power lecture. I ain't spoken Baltimore in a minute. I got to come back to Baltimore and do a power lecture. I ain't spoken Baltimore in a minute, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, because you keep getting banned. You would like everyone to believe the reason you keep canceling tours is because you are so busy. However, the fact of the matter is most places cancel on you for your ridiculous beliefs.
I love me some Baltimore. I love me some Baltimore, brothers and sisters. Dominican Republic, I'm waiting for an invitation. Dominican Republic, I'm waiting for an invitation.
In other words, your ass is staying out of the Dominican Republic. You probably tried to go and they told you no. But you don't want us to know that, so you're just going to frame it as it's them not inviting you for why you don't show up.
Baltimore, former home of my favorite rapper of all time, Tupac Shakur. Baltimore Africans. They go to Young Kings. Black Queens forever, Snow Bunnies never. Dr. Umar, what up? What up, youngins? What up? What up? What up? They love Dr. Umar in Baltimore. We got to get FDMG Baltimore. We got to get FDMG Baltimore.
First of all, that was pathetic. We barely heard them say anything. We heard maybe like one, what up, from that, and it might not have even been friendly as it was confusion. Then you drove off super fast so we wouldn't know and just speed on through talking about how much they love you. And what the hell are you on about an FDMG Baltimore? You haven't even completed one FDMG. All you've proven on this video is that you praise black leaders of the past for clout, completely misrepresent their complicated history to make them seem saintly, and then you try to demonize his controversial white figures by highlighting the fact they were slave owners, and then support the idea that everything they did was racist with no historical context. All in the aim of tricking black people into joining your personality cult so you can steal money from your own community. I hope you all liked this video. Fuck Umar Johnson and his racist bullshit. Please like, comment, and subscribe.